3. Testing. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hi, guys. We're live. We'll start in 30 seconds. Went on early, of course. So there may be technical difficulties. That's life. Bear with it. Yeah. Good evening. It's 7 o'clock here in the northeast of the United States, and this is Kunchab Tardu Ling, the Tibet Center, also known as the Tibet Center, a Buddhist meditation and study center located in New York City and northern New Jersey, under the direction of His Eminence Chabje Ling Rinpoche, and also under the co-direction of Rato Khensa Thupten Lundub, also known as Geshe Nikki Vreeland. And this is our twice weekly presentation of the Buddha Dharma, specifically Stages on the Path to Enlightenment, or the Lamrim Chenmo of J. Tsong-kha-pa. Completed in 1402, but very relevant. Any problems with the picture, sound, etc., text me or Mr. Smith. If there's anyone for whom you want us to pray for when we do Sutra of the Recollection of the Noble Three Jewels, please put their names in the chat box, or whatever you call it, comment section. I don't see all the names, as I say all the time, so don't feel bad if I don't announce it. I have a smaller chat box. The picture now is portrait size and too big. But anyway, that's life. All the prayers we say are on the Tibet Center website. We'll tag this program with two things. First of all, from the foundation of Buddhist practice, His Holiness will talk about relationship to a teacher. He's being very blunt and very frank about the misbehavior that's occurred and how to avoid it. It's not a happy topic, but it's something we have to address, and it'll put your mind at ease. Just a straight narrative, nothing you have to ponder about. And also it'll be chapter 16 of volume 3, the insight section, where we delve into how to arrive at a direct experience of emptiness. Anyway, we'll start. Prayer for the spread of the teachings throughout the length and breadth of the West. By the force of the blessings of the non-fallations, three precious gems, and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddhist teachings flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West, for all the people living here, together with their near ones, who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them. May all conditions adverse to their practice of the pure Dharma be dispelled, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase, like the waxing moon. And especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which are the source of benefit and happiness. May they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may this spontaneously happen just as we have hoped and wished. The Heart Sutra. Thus have I heard once. The Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the samadhi which examines the Dharma, is called profound illumination, and at the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, how should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge? And Avalokiteshvara answered, Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this, seeing the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Form is empty. Emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is not separate from form. Form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Thus all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. There are no nidanas from ignorance to old age and death, nor their wearing out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. And therefore, since there is no attainment, the bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge. And since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. They transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future by means of transcendent knowledge, fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering, should be known as truth, for there is no deception. In transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed, Tayata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhisoha. O Shariputra, this is how a bodhisattva mahasattva should learn profound transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised the bodhisattva mahasattva of Avalokiteshvara, saying, Good, good, O son of noble family, profound, transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering in the world with its gods, humans, Asuras and Gandharvas, their hearts full of joy, praised the words of the Blessed One. And now refuge and bodhisattva vow, which of course we say 3 times. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. May all the pains of living creatures ripen solely upon myself, and through the might of the Bodhisattva Sangha, may all beings experience happiness. May the teachings, which are the sole medicine for suffering and the origin of every joy, be materially supported and honored and abide for a very long time. I prostrate to Manjagosha, through whose kindness wholesome minds ensue, and I prostrate to my spiritual masters, through whose kindness I develop. And now, as a cause for the quick return of Rato Chulun Rinpoche's Holiness recommends we say the prayer he wrote, Prayer for Swift Return. It's on the website. Exalted wisdom of all victors gathered in a drop, sole refuge, manifest in the form of the one wearing saffron robes, Guru Lozang Tubuang Dorje Chang. Please bear witness here today that our prayers may be fulfilled. We beseech the great torch of doctrine, accomplishing from long ago the vast waves of aspirational prayers, Lord of speech of the victor Losang's teachings, spreading them to the ends of the earth by means of explanation and practice. Though holding the commitment, I will invite all beings to be my guests in unsurpassed great awakening, yet you have withdrawn the activities of the form body that serves the welfare of others. Is that worthy of the supreme among beings, the bodhisattvas? Though impossible for you till cyclic existence's end to abandon your commitment to liberate all beings, we beseech the new son of Nirmanakaya to swiftly return from the realm of Dharmakaya, brought forth by bodhicitta drawn by 7 steeds. Having reached the far limits of scholarship, religious life, and goodness, please come swiftly as an unrivaled supreme emanation. Full holder of the sage's teachings and wish-fulfilling jewel, return as the glory of Losang Tenpe. Magnificent truth of the 3 precious jewels, Mahakala, Karmayama, and Sri Mata Devi in the ocean of Dharma protectors, may you spontaneously fulfill our wish, the swift blossoming of the reincarnation's fresh moonlight face. So, as usual, we have a ton of work to do. Not really, it's not work. You just listen. Listen with an alert mind, the best you can do. Anyway, this is something easy to understand, but very critical. Not a pleasant topic. I hate to have to read it, but it's very important, and it's real world information. This is from, again, this wonderful book, Foundation of Buddhist Practice, the second in the to be 10-volume series of a collaboration on everything you want to know about Buddhism. We couldn't ask, I don't know. The whole path between His Holiness Dalai Lama and Venerable Thupten Chodron. So this is the section, so on page 120 of this volume, volume 2, called Unusual Behavior. This is what's going on with these teachers, the stories you hear, the misconduct, the sexual misconduct, etc., and so forth. Here's a take on it that might set your mind at ease, so you'd have confidence in delving deeper into the Buddhist world, whatever, you know. Anyway, it's self-explanatory. Self-explanatory. It's planetary too. Huh? Unusual behavior. Some past Buddhist siddhas an unusual adept at miraculous power, behaved in unconventional ways. They drank alcohol and had consorts. These siddhas, S-I-D-D-H-A-S, were fully realized lay practitioners who could discern what was of long-term benefit to self and others, and their actions were in accord with training on the completion stage of highest yoga tantra. Technical term, eventually you'll come to understand that. They could demonstrate miraculous abilities, which allayed the public's concerns about their level of realization. For example, they could cause an apple to fall from a tree a distance away and then make the apple go up and reattach to the tree. The Bhikshuni Lakshmi, is said to have cut off her head and then reattached it. Okay. Nowadays, there are very few people who are qualified to practice in this way, and because of the difference in society, such conduct is harmful to the Dharma. Flat out statement. Nevertheless, some people act in an unconventional manner and proclaim realizations, but do not have any demonstrable exceptional qualities to display in order to confirm their spiritual attainments. Even if they did, I wonder if it would be wise in today's society to show them. The siddhas of old generally displayed their miraculous powers to small, select groups of people who had the karma to benefit from seeing them. Again, have the bodhisattva motivation. Today, such an event would be flashed around the world by modern telecommunications. Reporters would want to interview the siddhas and companies would ask them to promote their products. You bet. I doubt such attention would be beneficial to either the Buddha Dharma, the siddha, or society. Even if our realizations are equal to those of divine beings, our behavior should conform to convention. Padmasambhava said that as we perfect our realization of emptiness, our respect for karma and effects and for ethical conduct correspondingly increases. So it's not the fact that I understand that I can do whatever I want. Things are absolutely not. That takes some thinking. Gaining the correct view is not easy. Many misunderstandings about emptiness exist. A prominent one is to claim that since everything is empty, then there's no good or bad, and that someone who realizes emptiness is beyond ethical precepts. No. Some people state this on the basis of faulty reasoning. Others because they have had some sort of experience in meditation that is a, quote, wrong realization. They then use this as a rationalization to take advantage of others or to justify enjoying sense pleasures. This, Rinpoche would remark on that. Someone had a realization of this or vision of that appearing to them, telling them to do this or that. What's the answer? Check with the text. Could be a hallucination. Check with the text, or if you have a very good guru, His Holiness Ling Rinpoche, you go to them. But that was the classic response to that. In other words, you want to know how am I doing? Is this for real? Check with the text. Although His Holiness continues on page 121. Although conventional phenomena do not appear to someone who is in a non-dual meditative equipoise on emptiness, that does not mean that they are non-existent. Yes, we've covered this. Conventionalities exist and the law of cause and effect functions no matter what our level of realization. It's there, whether we believe in it or not, etc. Okay? His Holiness continues. If the people who say there is no good and no bad really believe that in their hearts, Why do they gravitate towards sense pleasures and self-indulgent behavior? They would not discriminate between attractive and unattractive things at all. If they had genuinely realized non-duality, they would eat poor quality food, live in the streets and help the poor, do relief work in war zones, and serve others who are suffering. All these situations would be the same to them. Here's a little litmus test. Holiness continues, the Buddha was always humble, and he is our teacher. He worked hard on the path. He lived simply, mixed with everyone, and practiced continuously. Many people nowadays think that they are more privileged than the Buddha and do not need to live and practice as he did. In fact, no one is above the Buddha. We should follow his example. It does happen, and arrogance and the egos are always around, causing trouble. His Holiness continues, everyone is accountable for his or her behavior, and the practice of Tantra is never an excuse for unethical behavior. The sixth session Guru Yoga says, I shall abandon the four roots, liquor and unsuitable activities. The Kalachakra Tantra states that the ideal lay tantric practitioner should follow the monastic discipline except for wearing robes and participating in monastic ceremonies. Yes, well, they're not monks, but they should act as monks, except wear robes and participate in ceremonies, as he said. We got that. That means that an ideal lay tantric practitioner would be celibate and abstain from intoxicants. Bottom line. Everyone is accountable for his or her behavior. We got that. Although a small amount of alcohol is placed on the altar during some tantric rituals, only a few drops should be consumed after doing the meditation, dissolving it into emptiness and transforming it into pure nectar. We have the salt thing where you just this with the finger like that. That's it. You don't go, knock it back and do shooters or whatever. No, those are the old days, and that got you nowhere, except to the doctor's office or whatever. You transform it into pure nectar. Recreational drinking by teachers or students at Dharma centers is inappropriate and should be abandoned, and we don't have alcohol at our center. I can go on about that, but I won't, because it's boring. His Holiness says, in our present situation of cyclic existence, we are constantly deceived by the false appearances of objects that seem to exist inherently. Our afflictions arise on the basis of these false appearances. Dharma practice is designed to stop false appearances and the grasping at them. What, then, is the purpose of deliberately cultivating more false appearances through taking intoxicants? Although some highly realized yogis and yoginis in the past drank and sometimes took on the appearance of being drunk, they were exceptional practitioners with direct non-conceptual realization of emptiness. For them, ingesting feces, urine, and alcohol are all the same. However, I do not think most practitioners nowadays will drink urine or eat feces with the same enthusiasm they have when drinking alcohol. I don't know, some of these fast food places we have maybe already ingested these substances. Ay, ay, ay. His Holiness continues. Page 122, third paragraph. On a very advanced level of highest yoga tantra, the joining of the male and female organs is a technique for making the subtlest mind manifest and using it to realize emptiness. Here the physical body is used as a mechanical device for furthering insight. Ordinary lust and uncontrolled emission or orgasm are absent. You got that? Ordinary lust and uncontrolled emission or orgasm are absent. This union is a method for overcoming ordinary desire. It is not free license to indulge in sexual intercourse with everyone. In the past, in Tibet, a practitioner had to demonstrate supernatural powers such as flying through the sky to qualify to train in such practice. And there's a training in it. If the person was a monastic, he or she would disrobe first and then do this practice in a circumspect manner. Right? You got this from His Holiness. You got the truth here. Tantric precepts govern this practice and practitioners must adhere to them. Tantra is a higher practice, which implies that a person who takes tantric ethical restraints has sufficient control over his or her body, speech, and mind to keep the Vinaya and Bodhisattva ethical restraints, which are comparatively easier to keep. People who find it difficult to observe the 5 lay precepts are not suitable vessels for tantric practice because they lack the restraint needed to fulfill the tantric pledges and precepts and pledges. It may happen that an unmarried teacher meets an unmarried student. If the relationship develops in a normal way with mutual agreement and respect and they decide to marry, fine. It's fine. These two people treat each other equally, so there's no difference in power or status when deciding to have sexual relations. The teacher is not on a throne then. However, if the teacher is with one student 1 month and another the next, that is not right. Coercing or forcing sexual contact is wrong. Coercing or forcing sexual contact is wrong. Flat statement. Teachers should not manipulate a student into having a sexual relationship by saying she has the signs of being a dakini or has great dharma potential. Yeah, I've heard that from bikini, this and bikini. Right, yes. The guys too. We have to calm down and understand this. Or that having sex with him or her is a special blessing. Haha, that's a good one. Some people who have been sexually abused by Buddhist teachers give up their faith and respect for the Buddha. This makes me very sad. And I'm sure he's seen it all and heard it all. Some texts make statements such as, see all actions of your spiritual mentor as perfect, and follow your mentor's instructions exactly with complete devotion. These statements are made in the context of highest yoga tantra and apply to exceptional cases in which both the spiritual master and the disciple are highly qualified. For example, Tilopa and his disciple Naropa, and Marpa and his disciple Milarepa. If we are not the caliber of Naropa and our mentor does not have the qualities of Tilopa, these statements can be greatly misleading. Hearing stories of Tilopa's seemingly abusive treatment of Naropa, instructing him to jump off a cliff and so forth, and Marpa instructing Milarepa to build stone buildings and then tear them down, some people think that following their teacher's instructions includes allowing themselves to be abused. This is not the case at all. Marpa told Milarepa, do not treat your students like I treated you, or the way the great Naropa treated me. Such practice should not be continued in the future. This is because it is very rare to find both a teacher and a disciple who have realizations comparable to those great masters. I've had many teachers which I value greatly, but I cannot accept seeing all their actions as perfect. His Holiness saying this. When I was in my teens, my two regents fought with each other in a power struggle that involved the Tibetan army. When I sat on my meditation seat, I felt both teachers were extremely kind and I had profound respect for them. Their disagreements did not matter. But when I had to deal with the difficulties caused by their dissension, I said to them, what you're doing is wrong. I did not speak out of hatred or disrespect, but because I loved the Buddha Dharma and their actions went against it. I felt no conflict in loyalty by acting in this way. In our practice, we may view the Guru's behavior as that of a Mahasiddha, but in the conventional world, we follow the general Buddhist approach of, and if a certain behavior is harmful, we should say no. That's that. Not hard to understand. The advice to see all Guru's actions as perfect is not meant for general practitioners. Because it is open to misunderstanding, it can easily become poison for both mentors and students. Students naively whitewashing a teacher's bad behavior by thinking anything the Guru does must be a good gives some teachers a free hand to misbehave. On the teacher's part, poor behavior is tantamount to drinking the hot molten iron of the hellish states. He's really hard on this guy. And it contributes to the degeneration of the Dharma in the world. Only in particular situations and to particular practitioners should it be taught that the Guru's actions are perfect. Buddhism is based on reasoning and wisdom and must remain so. Reasoning and wisdom. Because I frequently give Dharma teachings, many people place great faith in me, but for many years I was also their secular leader. If they saw a reaction I did as perfect, it would adversely affect the administration. It was important for them to share information and ideas with me and not simply acquiesce to everything I said out of respect. And his final paragraph, His Holiness says, if you have taken someone as your spiritual mentor and discovered he or she is engaged in some questionable behavior, you may stop attending his or her teachings. Avoid disrespect or antipathy. Anger will only make you miserable. The Kala Chakra Tantra advises maintaining a neutral attitude and not pursuing the relationship any further. Neutral attitude. Never mind holding a grudge and not killing it. Let it go. Keep your distance and cultivate relationships with other teachers, but do not angrily denounce this person. He benefited you in the past, and it is appropriate to acknowledge and appreciate that, even though you do not follow him or her now. Okay? That's it. Succinct, to the point. Nothing nebulous there. That's very important, because if you've been around a while, different Dharma centers, all this kind of stuff is not fantasy. It really happens. People announce themselves as this or that. They form their own. I don't have to go on. I think you get the idea. Pardon me. So we return to the LAM. And I'm going to go to Geshe Sopa directly because that's where we left off. And we're arguing about the object of negation. In other words, when you sit in emptiness, what is it we're doing wrong? What is it we're doing wrong instinctively that we see inherent existence? What's going on? How do we get out of that? That's the main thing. And it's an instinctive, habitual thing. So it demands a very intense study and meditation, and then with the realizations that may occur, since the habit that we've had in the past, it was a habit, totally ingrained, even though we may even have a direct realization of emptiness, you still have to meditate and reinforce that, because we have to have the antidote to habit patterns, to this stream of energy that's going the wrong way. We may see it intellectually, have a big experience. Yes, the experience has to be cultivated and made stronger and stronger and stronger, and as it does, it's wiping away all the things preventing us from realizing Buddhahood, our true nature. That's very basic, it's not technical, but that's what it is, just in terms of orienting us to the topic that we're on. So this is Geshe Sopa from his Lamrim. It's a commentary on the Lamrim in 5 volumes, and we all live and die on it. Steps on the Path to Enlightenment. This is page 240. And they're talking about the primary object of negation. In other words, people are negating things that are intellectually acquired. That's not the problem. Mice, horses, insects, animals, all beings have this innate misconception. Horses didn't read books to acquire a false, maybe they did, I don't know. Anyway, they don't have intellectually acquired problems, but they do have the innate misconception. They see things as inherently existent and act accordingly, and we all do. So that's the problem. So it's really a deep down, innate, well-established habit pattern. That's wrong. That causes suffering. So Tsong-kha-pa said, well, the primary object of negation is not the partlessness or anything else. Those are properties of something. The primary properties of what would be the object of negation if it really existed. So why is this not the primary object of negation? Page 240, second paragraph. A quality of the object of negation, such as partlessness, is merely contrived by those who accept certain philosophical tenets. Grasping at partless phenomena is not the fundamental cause that binds sentient beings to samsara. It may come out that their things are partless, doesn't hold you in samsara. And if one establishes that partless things are not inherently existent and meditates on that fact for a long time, it would not reduce the ignorance that has tied us one to cyclic existence since beginningless time. You're shooting the wrong target. You're going the wrong direction. It's over there, not over there. Even a thorough understanding that partless things are empty would not get rid of the innate mental afflictions. Innate, again, used in this context as something deep, instinctual, been around endless since beginningless time in all beings who are not enlightened. So, innate ignorance would remain unscathed Therefore, this identification of the object of negation is incorrect. So he's basically telling you, if you're going to go after what's bothering, go after the right thing, not fringe things. To use a terrible American metaphor, shoot at the right target. All right. He's giving us an example, examples of contrived mental afflictions. Contrived. In other words, he brought them about by studying the wrong way and coming to a wrong conclusion. This is deeper than that. We need to distinguish between two types of mental afflictions, innate and contrived. Okay? Contrived mental afflictions are intellectually acquired wrong views, such as accepting the existence of partless atoms, a creator God, permanent things, and so on, based on the fallacious reasoning of some philosophers. The innate mental afflictions do not depend on any kind of reasoning or dogma. No, all these insects don't reason and stuff like that. All the other beings, that's a big point. Prior to attaining the pure bodhisattva grounds, that would be 8 and above, each and every sentient being, whether human or not, whether educated or not, has innate mental afflictions arising naturally in their mind streams. The self and other things quite naturally appear to be inherently existent, and ordinary sentient beings hold them to exist as they appear. Holding things in this way does not require any rationalization, such as, this is inherently existent because of X, Y, or Z. It's innate. It's there already. This innate ignorance is the main thing to be abandoned by means of the path, and its held object, what's understood, what's hung on to, is the primary target to be negated by means of Madhyamika logic. So that's what Madhyamika logic is going after. And you go after it first logically. Get certainty. Get a calm, abiding mind. And set about meditating. Sounds like fun, right? What else are you doing that's more important? Well, I can come up with a list that seems more important, but really isn't. All right. So, His Holiness Geshe Sopa continues. The weapon to pierce this target is the perfection of wisdom. In order to use this weapon effectively, we need to identify the target. Yes, the object to be negated. You hear that in the army. Move at your target, your target, your target. Now shut up. The object to be negated. That's where innate ignorance holds something in a wrong way. What is wrong about it? How does it hold its object? Okay. Here's why. Innate ignorance holds its object to be inherently or ultimately existent. This is the fundamental object of negation. For example, now do it slowly because it's important to understand this, the way this unfolds. For example, innate ignorance holds the self to be inherently existent. Okay. The self exists and is not to be negated. Oh, it's very important here. But the self being inherently existent does not exist, and that is to be negated. Not the self, but the fact that you think it's inherently existent. So you have to do this, what's the word? Pull it apart. Analysis. You have to say, oh, not the whole self, not the inherent part, which isn't obvious. It's a subtle instinct we have, and it seems like the way it's supposed to be. So that's important. The self-existent is not to be negated, but the self being inherently existent does not exist, and that is to be negated. So the object of negation is inherent existence superimposed on the object perceived by innate ignorance. You got the object, and then inherent existence superimposed on it. Innate ignorance only ever sees and conceives of things as inherently existent. That's all it does. Never not doing that. It has no notion of an object apart from it being inherently existent. It can't think, that's the way it is. Buddhism is telling you, no, inherent existence is one thing, the object is legit. So we got to think about that. Especially important if you come across things and you feel like you're meditating in the eye and it's not there, it's there, but you're seeing it as it really exists without inherent existence. Inherent existence is not there. For the first time you're panicking because you relied on it. That's home. Inherent existence. I live there. It's great. That's the problem I've heard from meditators. I haven't had this experience, but that's what I've heard. Because there is a certain, remember Tsong-kha-pa story, who grabbed his collar and then We have the other side. Oh, I'm not here. Oh, yeah, I am. All right. This combination, bottom of page 240, of an ordinary object and its way of being grasped by innate ignorance is the so-called object of innate ignorance. So an ordinary object and its way of being grasped by innate ignorance is the so-called object of innate ignorance. This is what needs to be negated. The ordinary object itself should not be negated, whatever you use, the table, the horse, whatever. But what ignorance mixes together with it does need to be negated. How can we negate this? So you got to do a separation here. And so the main procedure is to think about how do we get around what follows from the way inherent existence holds its object, the way innate ignorance rather holds its object. So what follows from the way innate ignorance holds its object? So what happened? Okay, we should think, if something were to exist as it is held by innate ignorance, then it would be like such and such. So hypothetical, if, since there's no inherent existence. However, if, then, it is very important to be able to distinguish between the object of innate ignorance and the object of contrived ignorance. Okay, you've got to sort that out too. Not just the object has to be sorted out from and left alone from the superimposed inherent existence. You also have to sort out innate ignorance from contrived ignorance. Innate is deep, deep. Contrived is intellectually learned. Not all beings have it. Only beings who study tenets, T-E-N-E-T-S. The main point is to negate the way in which things are grasped by innate ignorance. Okay, we got that. As part of this refutation, we also disprove the ways in which things are grasped by contrived ignorance. It's part of the process. You get rid of the contrived too. In other words, our negation of the object of innate ignorance is primary. As a subsidiary part of that negation, we negate certain things that we dogmatically believe. We were taught, we think, it sounds good, it feels comfortable, but that can be gotten rid of a lot easier. If we do not understand this properly, we might become confused and think the opposite, that negating innate ignorance is only a part of the more important negation of dogmatic ideas. Yeah. In that case, when we try to negate the self of persons, we will take only a permanent, partless, independent self specified by certain non-Buddhist philosophers as the object of negation. However, most people do not hold themselves to be a permanent, partless, and independent self. Sir, are you permanent, partless, and independent? Try that on the subway. They think of themselves in a more simple way, without any such analysis. I'm just around. Leave me alone. Negating a permanent, partless, independent person is only a secondary branch of the genuine negation of the self of persons. It is important to understand that the main target is innate ignorance. What's the main target? Innate ignorance. Oh, thank you. Which dominates the ordinary mental activity of living beings in daily life. There's the kicker. It's always with us. It's riding along our train of thought, and we're sorting things out according to it. It's a problem. So, you want to get out of samsara, you got to get rid of that. They say. I don't know. I'm trying. We all are. Similarly, 2/3 down on page 241, similarly, Geshe Sopa says, when we negate the self of phenomena, it is completely unsuitable to negate what is contrived only by philosophers. Okay, it's put a repetition here. Such as partless atoms, partless moments of consciousness, or a nature possessing 3 special attributes. These are all contrived philosophical ideas. Some non-Buddhists and followers of lower Buddhist schools contend that the subtlest physical objects are partless atoms, which combine to make gross things, and that the subtlest objects or perceivers are partless moments of consciousness. Partless, I see. Thus, these philosophers claim that objects are spatially partless and that subjects are temporarily partless. This, of course, is thrown out by simple logic, but let people have fun. Some others believe in a true nature that possesses the 3 attributes described above. All these views are superficial. They are formulated and held only by those who adhere to certain philosophical tenets, T-E-N-E-T-S. Rather than disputing or negating these shallow ideas, we should try to negate the far more important primary target. Yeah, go to the source of the trouble. It is fine to employ those most limited negations as part of developing the Madhyamaka view, however. If this is all we manage to understand from study and analysis, then it is all we have to meditate on. So you meditate on what you analyze first and understand. First become familiar with, analyze, understand. If you don't examine what this innate idea is, you're not going to meditate on it and get rid of it. We need to understand and establish the correct object so that we can meditate on it later. Implying that you got to do a lot of homework before you sit down and do it. So I take his advice. I trust him totally. If we try to establish the truth only by negating these dogmatic ideas, we will only be able to establish a superficial understanding of selflessness. The ornament for the Mahayana Sutra says, at first, this is page 242 by the way, at first, independence upon hearing correct thinking arises. Just so correct thinking gives rise to the wisdom realizing reality when it's deeply understood. If we have gained only a gross understanding, Geshe Sopa says, and then proceed to meditate on the non-existence of the two selves imputed by contrived ignorance, not innate, in the end we will merely eliminate only the contrived mental afflictions. It is completely absurd to claim that by negating the two selves imputed by contrived ignorance, we will remove innate ignorance. Chandrakirti points this out to his opponents in Introduction to the Middle Way. Chandrakirti says, you say, when selflessness is realized, a permanent self is abandoned. Yet you do not accept this to be the object of self-grasping. Therefore, to declare that knowing the absence of such a self uproots the subtle view of self, to declare that knowing the absence of such a self uproots the subtle view of self is astonishing. And it doesn't. So what are you doing? You have some chutzpah, or whatever the word is. He follows this up in commentary on the Introduction to the Middle Way. These things are mutually unrelated. This is clearly explained by means of an example. It is as if, Chandrakirti says, when seeing a snake in an alcove in your room, someone says, there's no elephant there, to dispel your fear. Could be worse, it could be an elephant. That doesn't help. And indeed, your fear of the snake dissipates. Not really. Oh, the other person must be joking, But there's a fear there. It's not saying the right thing. It does not help someone to overcome his or her fear of the presence of a snake to assure him that there is no elephant. The lack of an elephant has no relation to the presence of a snake. In the same way, there is no relation between eliminating contrived ignorance and eliminating innate ignorance. By eliminating the former, we cannot eliminate the latter. Okay? So eliminate contrived ignorance, you still can't. By doing get rid of the innate ignorance. You have to meditate on the innate ignorance, seeing it for what it is. And that's where calm abiding mind comes in. That's where subtle analysis comes in, and what they call more subtle minds. All right, so that's why tantric techniques are used to bring up a subtler mind, to pinpoint more. It's quicker, but it's very hard to do. But that's what he was alluding to, and his Holiness was alluding to in the past paragraph which we read. Be quiet. My cat has to say something. Are you eliminating the innate ignorance or just fooling around? Fooling around, okay. Simply meditating the non-existence of things imputed by philosophers such as partless atoms and so on will not eliminate the cause of the beginning experience of suffering, the innate ignorance holding the self of phenomena to be inherently existent. In other words, do this or else keep suffering, okay? That's it bluntly, told in a very nasty way, but it's the truth. The stanza from the Introduction to the Middle Way, quoted previously, concerns the selflessness of persons, but Tsong-kha-pa says that these words could equally apply to selflessness of phenomena. In that case, it would read, you say when selflessness is realized, the contrived self is abandoned, yet you do not accept this to be the object of ignorance. Therefore, to declare that knowing the absence of such a self uproots the innate view of ignorance is astonishing. Same thing. Again, Sopa said. Let's see what time we have. Tsong-kha-pa suggests, so I'm not going to read this because it's more or less saying the same thing. The only difference between emptiness of self and phenomena is the base. Emptiness of self, emptiness of phenomena. And emptiness quality is the same. It's not a different emptiness on phenomenal things and on the self. Same. That's a false view that everyone runs around with sometimes. There is no difference from the point of view of the object of negation. Inherent existence itself is the same in both cases, whether you're looking for emptiness of yourself or emptiness of the table in front of you or whatever. Okay? That's important. We should note that Prasangika understanding of the two kinds of ignorance is different from that of the other Buddhist schools. Do we want to go in those weeds? Not really. We won't go there because he's going to explain Svatantrika Madhyama. We'll do that next time. I just want to get back to the LAM to pick up a little more ground in that so that we can then go to the commentary. And I'm going to the LAM, ladies and gents. On page. Page 197 of LAM 3, this great book here. 197, halfway down the page, he's quoting Chandrakirti, okay? Same thing about the snake. We'll get it again. Someone sees a snake living in the wall of his house. To ease his concern, someone else says, "There's no elephant here." Alas, to others, it's ridiculous to suppose that this would dispel the fear of the snake. Chandrakirti refers to selfness of the person, but it's the same selfnesses of objects. We got that already. Question, and here comes a little argument back and forth. Pay attention somewhat. In the statement by Nagarjuna set forth above, he says that the defining characteristics of a nature, we're talking about what is a nature? The nature of fire is to be hot, things like that. So you're talking about nature, and this guy's going to challenge that idea. He says, Nagarjuna says, that the defining characteristics of a nature are not being fabricated and not depending upon something else. Was he speaking hypothetically, or does such a nature exist? Reply, the Buddhist posits a nature, quote, nature, saying this is the reality of phenomena. It is not fabricated and does not depend on something else. Oh, yes. Chandrakirti's explanation of the Middle Way commentary established that exists, citing a sutra source. This is the Madhyamika Bhaishya, I believe. Madhyamika Avatara Bhaishya, something like that. Auto commentary. Is there a nature that has such qualifications as the Master Nagarjuna claims? Yes, it is the reality, quote, of which the Bhagavan spoke extensively, saying, whether Tathagatas appear or not, the reality of phenomena remains. What is this, quote, reality? It is the nature of things such as these eyes. And what is their nature? It is that in them which is neither fabricated nor dependent upon something else. It is their identity as known by knowledge, free from the impairment of ignorance. Knowledge free from the impairment of ignorance. Does it exist or not? If it did not exist, for what purpose would bodhisattvas cultivate the path of the perfections? Silly. Why would bodhisattvas undergo hundreds of hardships in order to know reality? And then a question occurs. Did you not previously argue, ladies and gentlemen, that all phenomena lack intrinsic nature? The guy's on the witness stand. Reply. Even phenomena that are not internal mental constructs lack even a particle of essential or intrinsic nature. Have we not given this answer several times, Your Honor? Therefore, what need is there to speak of other phenomena in terms of such a nature? Even reality, the ultimate truth, has no intrinsic nature at all. Okay? Even reality, the ultimate truth, emptiness, has no intrinsic nature at all. The emptiness of emptiness. Okay? Chandrakirti's clear words says, the Prasanapada, the, quote, final nature is the unfabricated, fundamental entity which is ineluctably present in fire in the past, present, and future. It is not the later occurrence of something that was not there before. It does not depend on causes and conditions like the heat of water. You have to heat water up, right? Or here and there, or long or short. Not a comparative reality. Does fire have such a nature? It neither essentially has it, nor essentially lacks it. Nevertheless, to avoid frightening listeners, I reify it and say it exists conventionally. Thus, Chandrakirti refutes the view that this nature exists essentially. He says that it exists conventionally. Objection, Your Honor. He does not assert that it exists, for he says that it reifies it in order to avoid frightening us. He said, just exists. I just said that to not frighten people. He didn't say it exists. The answer is, that's not reasonable. How? He also spoke of other phenomena, having imputed them for that same reason. So if the final nature did not exist, those other phenomena would also not exist. As cited earlier, Chandrakirti proves that the final nature exists, making the argument that if it did not exist, then would absurdly follow that pure conduct is senseless. Yes, emptiness exists in the way. Not only does the master Nagarjuna assert this nature, others also can be made to accept it. Thus he posits this nature as established for both parties in the debate. If it were otherwise, page 199, then you would have to hold that in Madhyamaka it is impossible to attain freedom. This is because, one, Chandrakirti says that to attain nirvana means to perceive nirvana, and he says that nirvana is considered a true cessation, and that true cessations are ultimate truths. And two, ultimate truths would not exist. In his commentary on the 60 stanzas of reasoning, Chandrakirti takes pains to prove that when you attain nirvana, you must perceive the ultimate truth of cessation of the afflictions, etc., of all the innate afflictions, etc. So we'll leave it at that. I'll mark it so we can continue there. Next turn. Let's see. I don't know what I could find in the chat box to pray. Let's see. All right, we're getting blah, 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 blah. Hello, Tony's cat. Yeah, hello. It's Babette. Burns. No one mentioned? Okay. I'm sure there are plenty of people who've passed away. And Donetsk and the places in Ukraine. And I've passed away in the United States from shooting. We really have 60. A lot of people died over the Juneteenth holiday. It's insane. I prostrate to the Omniscient One. Thus the Buddha, Bhagavat, Tathagata, Arhat, Samyak Sang Buddha, the learned and virtuous one, the Sugata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans is the Buddha Bhagavat. The Tathagata is in accord with all merit. He does not waste the roots of virtue. He is completely ornamented with all patience. He is the basis of the treasures of merit. He is adorned with the minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him, he is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those along with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strengths cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He is not stained by the realm of desire. He is not stained by the realm of form. He is not affected by the formless realm. He is completely liberated from suffering. He is completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He has completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving. He has crossed over the river. He is perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavats who rise in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the bhumi where he sees all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavat. The holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted. It is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavat teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma, which is taught by the Bhagavat, is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pithy. It is trustworthy and puts an end to the journey. The Vinaya, by the way, is the textbooks on ethics. As for the Sangha of the great Jnana, they enter completely, they enter insightfully, they enter straightforwardly, they enter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration with joined palms. They are worthy of receiving prostration. They are a field of glorious merit. They are completely capable of receiving all gifts. They are an object of generosity. They are a great object of complete generosity. The protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and virtue, I prostrate to the Tathagata. Pure, the cause of freedom from passion, virtuous, liberating from the lower realms, this alone is the supreme, ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma, which is peace. Having been liberated, they show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to the disciplines. They are a holy field of merit and possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully and always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable, the Dharma's virtues are inconceivable, the Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivables, therefore the fruitions are inconceivable. May they be born in a completely pure realm. And now, thanks to Darren Smith, last minute bringing me this prayer, which I misplaced somehow. He printed it up and ran down. Without Darren Smith, we'd have no Tulat Center. Bless his heart. If you can, pray for him and his mom. His mom is very sick in a nursing home in Rhode Island. He's going to see her. So everyone who knows Darren says nothing but good things about him. So we should aspire to that state. This is the prayer for the flourishing of Tsong-kha-pa's teachings. His Holiness mentioned this, and we should recite it as a cause for bringing Rato Chungla back to our presence. Though he's the father, producer of all conquerors, as a conqueror's son, he produced the thought of upholding the conqueror's dharma in infinite worlds. Through this truth, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. When of yore in the presence of Buddha Indraketu, he made his vow, the conqueror and his offspring praised his powerful courage. Through this truth, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. That the lineage of pure view and conduct might spread, he offered a white crystal rosary to the sage, who gave him a conch and prophesied. Through this truth, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. His pure view free of eternity or destruction. His pure meditation cleansed of dark fading and fog. His pure conduct practiced according to the conqueror's orders. May the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Learned, since he extensively sought out learning. Reverent, rightly applying it to himself. Good, dedicating all for beings and the doctrine. May the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Through being sure that all scripture is definitive and interpretive and without contradiction, advice for one person's practice, he stopped all misconduct. May the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Listening to explanation of the three Pitakas, realized teachings, practice of the three trainings, his skilled and accomplished life story is amazing. May the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Outwardly calmed and subdued by the hearer's conduct, inwardly trusting in the two stages practice, he allied without clash the good paths of Sutra and Tantra. May the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. Combining voidness explained as the causal vehicle with great bliss achieved by method, the effect vehicle, heart essence of 80,000 Dharma bundles, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. By the power of the ocean of oath-bound doctrine protectors like the main guardians of the three beings' paths, the quick-acting Lord Vaishravana Karma Yama, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. In short, by the lasting of glorious Guru's lives, by the earth being full of good, learned, reverend holders of the teaching, and by the increase of power of its patrons, may the conqueror Losang's teachings flourish. 8 verses on training the mind. With the determination to accomplish the highest welfare of all sentient beings, who surpass even a wish-granting jewel, I will learn to hold them supremely dear. Whenever I associate with others, I will learn to think of myself as the lowest amongst all, and respectfully hold others to be supreme from the very depths of my heart. In all actions, I will learn to search into my mind, and as soon as a disturbing emotion arises, endangering myself and others, I will firmly face and avert it. I will learn to cherish ill-natured beings, and those oppressed by strong misdeeds and sufferings, as if I had found the precious treasure difficult to find. When others out of jealousy treat me badly, with abuse, slander, and so on, I will learn to take all loss and offer the victory to them. When the one whom I have benefited with great hope unreasonably hurts me very badly, I will learn to view that person as an excellent spiritual guide. In short, I will learn to offer to everyone without exception all help and happiness directly and indirectly, and respectfully take upon myself all harm and suffering of my mothers. I will learn to keep all these practices undefiled by the stains of the 8 worldly concerns, and by understanding all phenomena as like illusions, be released from the bondage of attachment. Our next class will be Wednesday night, the 21st, at 7 o'clock at the parsonage. Everyone is welcome there. The instructions to get there are on the website. Of course, everything's on the Tibet Center website. Soon we will have more of Rinpoche's teachings on the website in a week or two, including a section for those who speak Chinese. These are will be the lectures he gave in Taiwan over the years, in Tibetan, translated into Chinese. Some may be in English. I haven't listened to them yet. So anyway, that's the latest. Those are the coming attractions. So thank you very much for your pleasant presence. It is. And for your kind, patient listenings to, as I said before, a very tough topic. This is not a joke. This is the pinnacle of Buddhism, emptiness doctrine. So big love to all of you. Stay safe.